Hello and welcome to the KSW Painting Euro V8 SuperCar series live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me this evening is Marco Barbonet. We're here at the wonderful Oulton Park circuit for two races this evening, a sprint and a feature. And Marco, back to the normal format after the endurance race at Charlotte just 2 weeks ago. And a unique circuit to come to. I certainly never visited this circuit in these cars ever before, but I think it's still going to be absolutely great fun around this fantastic driver's circuit.
Yes, hello everyone. Hello Sam. This is the track that really made me hate with a passion when I was very, inexperienced. The traditional British tracks. When I went around here with the Skip Barber in I think the Foster's layout, which is a very short version of the track. All the grass around the racetrack doesn't forgive you one bit. So you have to keep the car on the track at all times. This track, then I of course learned to appreciate how beautiful it is, all the elevation changes. Today we are in the longest layout possible, the international layout, so we are going to also have the two chicanes on the backstretch, but many tricky spots for all of these drivers, and with the title yet to be decided, even though Nicole Foggy has a good position, he will be looking to get everything sorted tonight and then enjoy the next couple of weeks at Snetterton, a somewhat safe lead heading into the triple header to round up the season.
Yeah, absolutely. He wants at least a 100-point lead, and it must be said he is in a fantastic position. He has got the slight threat that he didn't manage to take part in one of the races at Imola, so he has got a very poor score there, but apart from that, he's been ultra consistent on so many races recently, and he's really put himself into a fantastic position. He is about 365 points. I say about 365 points. He is 365 points ahead. That's with the drop scores. The points that may be shown on your screen will probably be without drop scores. So it is slightly larger, the gap between the top two. Kloosterman, though, even with the drop scores, is ahead of Joey Brennan. It shows the unluck that Brandon has had. He's missed something like 3 races just down to hardware issues. If it weren't for that, he would be really on the tail of his teammate, but instead he's down in third at the moment. And then it's Richard Warvingham in fourth and Hal Stadler in fifth position in the club championship. Gary Croft is leading the way, about 120 points ahead of Clyde Whiting. It is actually closer than probably the points on your screen, and so that one's still very much high. We haven't paid too much attention to that, but we certainly will be paying some attention to it today. Michael Frost is in third, and Sam Buzan and Peter Bingham round out the top 5 as qualifying actually coming to an end, and we're soon going to find out the starting lineup for this race.
I'm very happy to have Philip Antonia back. And from what I'm hearing in the Discord group of the championship, he basically just ran through the door of his apartment, coming back from work, and he was able to get into the session thanks to his son apparently. And so, like he said, I'm quoting his own words: from bus driver to sim racer in 60 seconds. So hopefully he gets a good turnaround. Of course, if he's a bus driver, and I think he is, it's not easy to then switch back to this monster of a race car, all this horsepower, and yeah, I mean, but I mean, it's nice to have him back. As drivers are completing their lap times, I think that Philip won't be able to complete a lap.
I think he
Because
will. He's got another minute.
I,
Unusually long time to complete a lap. Yeah,
I don't know if he's on an out lap or not, because he's not in the standings right now.
Yeah, you might be
So
right, actually.
and I'm seeing that he's got minus laps on the timing. So this means that I think this is his first out lap. So he just went, just entered the track and he goes straight into the pits. So no time for him. Michael Frost also couldn't set a time, and so couldn't Kate Rostaranto. So it looks like it's going to be Tony Kloosterman, your pole sitter. And in just a second, we shall have for you the starting grid. Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely superb qualifying by Tank Kloosterman. Hasn't taken too many pole positions, which is very unusual for him so far this season. Usually about third and fourth behind the two XPR drivers, but he was 3/10 faster, which is in this series is a big advantage. Victor Tanaka, clearly the NQR guys, good setup for them today, first and third, Foggy in between them. Johnny Brandon is in fourth with his teammate Richard Warring in fifth. There's Hal Stadler in sixth. Guy Croft in seventh. Nikolai Bogotayev in eighth. Azzy Woodward in ninth. And Clyde Whiting in 10th. Bill Switzer and Andrew Hoffman were the last two drivers to have completed laps respectively. And then behind that, it's Philip Antonia, Katie Reyes Trento, and Michael Frost, rounding up this 15-car field. And Marco, is Tony Kloosterman going to be able to hang on to it? Only 2 races so far this season, but when he has won a race, it's been in spectacular fashion. Is he going to be able to hang on to this 16-lap race?
Well, it seems to be very, very, in the groove today. So I think he has a very nice chance of winning this first race. Not a lot of cars on the grid, so he might also have a nice reverse. Who knows? Because we've had very, very small reverses all season long. Let's see how this one goes as we are waiting for Kloosterman and Foggy to grid. And here they are, so I think we're ready to go.
Yep, here we go. Round 19 of the season, penultimate meeting of the championship. Tony Kloosterman from the pole position, and away we go at Oulton Park. And so fantastic start for Kloosterman. He's going to be able to hold the lead. Is Tanaka going to be able to challenge Foggy maybe for second place? No, he's going to lose out to Brandon instead. So great start for him, but Tanaka not giving up, almost running himself off the circuit a little bit. A couple of cars just getting a little bit shuffled down the field, but crucially, Brandon gets ahead of Tanaka straight away. Philip Antoni, fantastic start for me. He's gone from 13th to 8th in just a handful of corners. You can see him really up the field now, but Kloosterman sprinting away from the rest of the field. A good gap for him already, and that was a textbook start.
Yeah, disappointing start from Tanaka, losing one position to Johnny Brandon there. And we know that Victor is always a spectacular driver, so I think he will try to get that position back as soon as possible. These very, very tricky chicanes on the backstretch, which I really don't like, but they pose an extra threat to these drivers as they go down the hill for the other chicane, this one going into the other direction, right to left, and then back into the final portion of the track where we have some amazing corners. And I have to say, like you, have never driven a V8 supercar around here, but the Skip Barber is so much fun around this racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see these, real sweeping corners, plenty of elevation changes. Well, ever so narrow the circuit though. And as Bill Switzer's had enough, he had a good qualifying to Switzer up in 11th place. Seems to have got away without too much damage across these drivers. Don't get any, sorry, they do get a fast repair. Well, hopefully Switzer will not need to take that one. It wasn't a great start to start off with, and well, maybe a bit of a hardware issue for him because he seemed to go
I think it
spearing
was
into
the jump.
the wall.
I think
Oh,
he
was
got,
it? Okay.
Yeah, he got the jump in a slightly wrong, attitude for his car, and he was sent out. And it's as Frost, yes, goes in the pits. So yeah, it's like maybe that jump at Bathurst when you have cold tires coming out of the pits at the very beginning of the race as well. Really is a tricky part of the racetrack to tackle, as Tony is pulling away right now. 2 seconds over Foggy, then Brandon and Tanaka. These three guys so close to each other. Seems like, I mean, if I was Foggy, I would be very happy with this second place right now. No need to risk. Let's see if Tanaka can, put Brandon under pressure. Certainly he's doing so. But also, I think, let's see if Tanaka can help indirectly, of course, Foggy in his title challenge. And also, maybe even his teammate Kloosterman there, which is, far away from the title lead, of course, but anything can happen. And, to have Tanaka here tonight, certainly a wild card in the proceedings.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose. Tanaka hasn't been taking part in too many of the races, but it's good to see him when he has been around, certainly more active than he was in Season 5. So here comes Tanaka. He certainly seems to be the second fastest driver out on the circuit currently. And so he's really getting stuck behind Brandon. But you can see the narrowness of this circuit, very few big braking points as well. And those kind of mid-90s-esque chicanes, which slow down the cars before a fast corner. Really not helping him out too much either. You can just see how on earth are you going to get around this circuit, and this seems to be where he's particularly strong actually. Tanaka can really commit. You can see how he really closes in by about a car length. Looks to the inside there, but again, not much of a breaking point. Very narrow circuit, and well, it's not worth ruining a potential podium, and especially cause damage to his car. Otherwise, he may not get involved in the first grid later on. An early apex into the chicane. Once again, strong over the crest, getting a lot of wheel spins. Andrew Hoffman has had enough, and I think he's certainly going to need a fast pair, maybe even a tie.
Let's see what happened to Andrew Hoffman there. Did he get clipped by an opponent? Maybe that was not the best camera angle, I have to be honest with you. Let's see from the chopper, very quickly. Yes, he got a little bit of help there from, I think, yes, Anthony Woodward.
Yeah, Woodward just, not quite interpreting that one correctly.
He's still there, by the way.
And
so.
it seems like Hoffman's merged with the barrier. This circuit was made a while ago on iRacing, I believe, and so they've got half an excuse.
You know, the track marshal in me is already waving flags desperately. Now he towed back to the pits, so unlucky for Andrew, but that's his race one, of course, as a reminder, because it's going to come up later. You need to be on the lead lap to be eligible for the reverse in this championship. Unlike in the BSR series, where you can be one lap down, you have to be on the lead lap. So for Andrew, considering we have 1 minute 30 per lap, not going to be easy. By the way, I am noticing that they made some better calculation this time around for the race distance, Sam. We won't have a repeat of what happened in Bathurst 1 month ago.
Yes, these
which I loved, by the way. But
yes, it was more commentary time for us. About 45 more minutes of commentary for us. It was fantastic fun. The two races, and of all the races for it to happen, Bathurst was definitely the correct one.
That race to ending basically at night time was absolutely fantastic. Great spot for the championship. Bit ruined by the fact that then Clyde Whiting came into the interview. We were complimenting him for the aesthetic choice, and he said it was just a mistake. But a good mistake to have, I would say.
Yes, absolutely. And Nico Poggi, of course, winning both races on that day, pulling off a fantastic zero stopper. So in the first race, when others were doing a one stopper, and then pretty much just straight away from the rest of the field. Not driving away today though, 3 seconds behind Tony Kloosterman. But expect that that pace differential to even out as the race goes on. Kloosterman usually quite an aggressive driver, can use his tyres maybe a little bit more than his rivals, and usually is driving on the limit a little bit more. Whereas Foggy is absolutely rock solid, but you can see he's just not being able to pull away from his teammate Johnny Branton. He'd probably have a small interest in getting past him, but at the same time, the defending champion realises that this championship probably away from him, and may well be chatting to each other as it is right now in the same Discord. Any other battles going on? Gary Croft versus Clyde Whiting. That's the battle for the lead in the club standings, and of course with the these two fighting for the club championship, of course, aren't they?
Yes.
Gary Croft with a very good run actually recently, one of the most improved drivers, I'd say, across the season, and Whiting trying to win the AM Championship, which I think would be for the first time as well. Otherwise, he would have been promoted, I imagine. Certainly keeping his championship rival honest at the moment.
Yeah, Gary Croft went past Whiting just a couple of laps back. So let's see if Whiting has an answer to this. So far seems to be a very even battle between these two guys. As apart from this, yes, the only other battle on the racetrack is this one, and these three guys. I mean, if we want to include the race leader, even though he's a bit far away, it's classic Ford versus Oulton battle, NQR versus XVR. XVR guys running the Ford, at least these two guys, because Birmingham is running the Oulton. And then, of course, Kloosterman
Oh,
and
damn
Tanaka.
you. Sorry.
Oh, he's going for it.
Oh,
Oh, there's
oh, and
contact.
Brandon's off.
And
So
Brandon
a
is
little
off.
bit. Is he going to lose a position to his teammate Richard Warren now? I don't think Warren's going to quite get some that. Maybe a little bit of contact. I think it may have been a little bit of netcode, if anything. Didn't seem to be contact, and the reaction from Brandon seemed a little bit late. But well, hopefully this will tell us what happened.
Let's listen with our ears. Hear if there's some contact there. Oh, you know.
Yeah. I thought the way that the car moved, there just seemed to be a slight rotation suddenly.
See? I mean, a very, 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 very light tap, if you ask me. But sometimes that is just enough to send the car into the daisies. And so Victor Tanaka up to P3. I would call this a racing incident. I mean, the touch was so light between these two guys. And now it remains to be seen, because sometimes you have... oh, look at that. Brandon getting the position back. Fantastic sportsmanship from Tanaka.
Absolutely, and it wasn't necessary as such. Brandon may have felt a little bit aggrieved, but at the same time it was, as Marco said, the tiniest touch and maybe even a little bit of netcode, so really good of Tanaka to give that one up, and well, he's going to have to make the move again. Does relieve a lot of pressure on Nick Ofoye. He's now 6 seconds ahead of these guys, and of course, if these guys start fighting, they're going to invite the likes of Warmingham and Stadler, and maybe even Bogotayev as well. He's just off the back of this 4-car chain into a battle for the final step on the podium. But, well, if anything, this is very good, because I think Tanaka and Foggy would have had a nice battle, but this one's been going on for all race long, and we're going to have to see a proper overtake from Tanaka if he's going to make the move.
Yes, and like you said, Warmingham and Stadler have been invited to take part in this fight, and here they are. Ara Stadler for Atomic Motorsport, so teammate of many good drivers that we see on Wednesdays, like none other than Yefang and Acton, of course, in Sim Racers World, but also other very quick drivers. And Warmingham, a teammate of Brandon and Foggy, of course, even though he's running the Oulton Commodore instead of the Ford Falcon. But he's having a very, very nice season, cementing his place, I would say, among the pro drivers, the drivers with the red stripe, as he's been always there, basically, into the, in the top 5 of every race I can remember. So definitely some good racing from him. Let's see if Tanaka tries this again. He seems to have the pace to overtake Brandon.
Yeah, really be more or less aggressive than he was previously. I think the previous move was him just trying to get close. It wasn't actually an overtaking place. Well, Brandon take a slightly tighter line, because it was his wide line which put him in trouble last time. Tanaka trying to get close. Now maybe just the smallest opportunity coming out of this next corner, because he has got such a good run, has Tanaka. Problem is the track is so narrow. He's going to look to the outside. There's just not the space. There's just too much grass, and we'll try to get the cutback now. Tanaka trying to square off the corner, but Brandon with a decent exit, taking that very tight line on the exit. And even if he had got a good run, Tanaka, there's just no chance into that chicane. Brandon, though, with a really poor run, Tanaka maybe didn't quite nail it, as he has been for the rest of the race. And, well, he's still going to be 4 tenths behind going into the braking zone.
Yes, nothing changing. Tanaka seems to have the better pace, but it's not working so far for him. In the meantime, also Warmingham and Stadler are going at it, losing a bit of ground to Tanaka and Brandon, but they still have P5 up for grabs. And also Gary Croft seems to be, getting ready to put a move on Philip Antonio. So we have 3 battles to look forward to as we are hitting the halfway mark of the race. And whilst P1 and P2 seem to be already decided, we have the rest of the top 10 basically up for grabs.
Yep, Kloosterman now 5 seconds ahead of Foggy, so I said that it would even out, but he's just carrying on pounding in these outsides, nearly a second faster that last tour. So Nevercoat Racing really unlocked something here. Perhaps, I think Tony actually last or 2 weeks ago was saying how He has actually raced around this circuit previously, and certainly that experience is very useful for him today. Stadler's fallen back a little bit into... Oh, sorry, Stadler's on the tail of Warmingham, isn't it? I was thinking if he dropped to Bogotayev trying to get the overtake again, Tanaka. They're both spinning up their tyres quite a bit, maybe even warming them up, although the track temperature down at 24 degrees Celsius, which is pretty low for iRacing, pretty low for what these guys are used to. And Tanaka closer this time, but really only 5 or 6 seconds on full throttle before you're back on the brakes for another chicane. Would be fantastic, Marco, if they just maybe extended that runoff, and you could have a fantastic left-hander at the end of that straight, but they haven't seemed to have made that change this circuit, at least not when this was scanned.
No, exactly. Oh, by the way, let me give a big thumbs up to Pascal Iglin, the guy behind our... Oh, Brandon sideways there, our overlay. As you can see on the right side of your screen, we now have the date, which of course is May the 15th, because why not? And the time of day, among other info. So very, very nice addition to our overlay. So thank you, Pascal. And Tanaka, once again, to get every inch of racetrack and taking now a completely different line. Maybe not the best line, because seems like Brandon was able to pull away just a bit right now.
Lap 10 of this race. So another 7, or just under 7 laps to go, 6.5 for the leaders. And certainly the second race, Marcos, is really looking very good. We always talk about the second race, it's going to be really good. And then we get a 6-car reverse, and it's very much not spoilt, but it's a bit frustrating. Hopefully, finally this season, we will get something of a reverse grid of substance and something around 10 or so cars. Because the overtaking round here is so difficult that someone like maybe Bogotayev or Stadler or Warmingham could have a great chance, or even Tanaka to get his first win in about 3 seasons.
You know, I'm thinking that I don't think we ever had a reverse of 10 or more, let alone a full reverse. So, it doesn't mean that we are going to get one, but come on, we are due to have a big reverse, no? So, let's see if this is the time. Of course,
it's you who spins the wheel, Mark, okay? So
yeah,
I don't think
you're
you can
right.
blame anyone but yourself.
Well, we tried with a guest wheel spinner, if you remember, in the Imola
Oh,
round,
yes,
but that didn't work didn't work. So I don't know if it's me or my new computer. I know, because since I had my new computer, the big reverses haven't been possible. So let's leave this battle just for a second to go here within Whiting and Woodward, with Woodward trying to come back. As speaking of special guest, my dog has joined the commentary booth as per usual in these Saturday evenings. Nothing going there for Woodward, so we go back to the battle for third place.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if your dog starts speaking some more sense than us, to be honest. I was looking down the inside. Also, while my I do recall when Sam Kieran managed to spin Clyde Whiting 3 times in a row on a board which had about 8 names on it, and managed to get Whiting 3 times in a row, and came up with the quote of "I make this wheel extra random," which well, clearly wasn't the case. But certainly some flaws maybe in our spinning system. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, Grandad having to deal with the back markers. That's Andrew Hoffman, who of course has been in the wars earlier on. Just looking at the last driver on the lead lap, Michael Frost is going to get lapped. But Katie Race Taranto is only about half a lap off the lead, and we're quite far into this race. There she is. And so she should almost certainly be eligible for that reverse grid. And hopefully for her, we'll have a reverse grid of 12 or more, or full grid. And she'll be on pole position for, I believe, what would be the first time this season.
Yeah, let's remember that all of our reverse grids are done by Sam Kumo, but he promised me to, in the off season between, the official racing season, he promised he's going to teach me how to do reverse wheels. So
awesome.
Maybe I can perfect the system. Tanaka must be furious because he has absolutely no way through Maybe he can use the help of Michael Frost here. No, he moves wide, very wide indeed. Going for a bit of a run in the grass, and so nothing changes there. As Gary Croft, in the meantime, passed Philip Antonia. So Gary Croft, a very excellent P8 right now.
Yeah, really good. And Tony had a little bit of a difficult lap, but well, if anything, it was just a very good lap from Guy Croft, who was about the same pace as these guys. In fact, so really
There
good
to
lap.
go to a replay. And that was the wrong decision, Marco, because Tanaka went
Oh
past.
dear.
Oh man, how did he
With
do
some
that? Like
damage as well.
let's see, from the chopper. Oh, did he clip the tire wall there?
Oh, that's a move. Oh, fantastic move there from Victor Tanaka. It wasn't going to be easy. And of all the places to overtake, well, I'm sure
Oh,
Brandon would not have been expecting that one.
you see, he clipped the wall there.
Ah,
Watch the front right of the hood of Johnny Brandon, and you can see it pop.
yeah.
And I think he might have suspension damage also. Let's see.
He seems to be okay now, but you're certainly right, Marcus. Straight after that, he seemed to get a horrendous amount of oversteer. I wonder if there was maybe another tap, perhaps, which just unsettled him.
Oof.
Certainly not Tanaka's fault. If the first one wasn't his fault anyway, because you can understand Brandon probably slowed down a little bit by the friction of that tire ball,
So
and so he couldn't do too much about that.
I can be excused for the replay because I couldn't expect Johnny to make such mistake. And I was surprised because, yeah, of course, Victor was there, but he was not that close. You know, I wasn't expecting a move done in that particular gap there of time. So let's see once again, because we have Croft getting past Antonia, and this is the replay.
Yeah, had to be brave on the brakes. And Antonio giving him a wide berth there. Tried to come back, but just couldn't really get the power down. And some absolutely fantastic side-by-side battling against each other down into turn 3. And that was a very hard-earned move, certainly by Guy Croft there to get up into 8th position. Antonio is trying to come back. Also, Woodward, they nearly got past Whiting on the last lap. I saw their gap go down to about a 1/10 of a second.
Okay. Yeah, I saw then another overtake between the two of them, but that was because Gary had a little bit of a connection issue, so nothing happening there. Let's go back to the leader, because we haven't shown a lot of Tony Kloosterman today, and for good reasons. He has run away from everyone else right from the get-go, and thanks to a little bit of battling between the guys behind them, and then they had the moment where Tanaka went past Brandon, but Brandon gave, Tanaka gave the position back. This gave basically Tony an uncontested run towards the victory, and he only has 2.5 laps left to complete the job. Seems to be absolutely in control in this first race. Let's see if he can do the same in race 2 later.
He absolutely hasn't got a double. I can never recall Kloosterman getting a double. He certainly got a double actually at the start of season 4. I can guarantee that at Mid-Ohio. That was the last race before I started commentating on this series. And I don't know if I'm some kind of curse or something, but I don't think he's got a double ever since that point. So certainly wishing him plenty of luck to make amends for that. And also, of course, he'd love to finish second in the championship. It would be an improvement on his third from last season and third from the season before, as we got Bill Switzer. Not Bill Switzer. Bill Switzer's...
Yeah, Bill Switzer with an issue. He went wide. There are lots of hidden jumps, and then I think he had enough, and he called it a day for race 1. Also, I remember the last broadcast before I jumped on board with the series. That was the Long Beach round. So
good round that.
I watched it back to get acquainted with the drivers, etc. But yes, I still don't have Long Beach, but as you know, on Monday the VIR legendary, never going to buy it unless I'm forced, myth has fallen because I had to buy VIR for BSR MX5, so I am proudly or not so proudly, I still have to decide, I am owner of all the official road courses of iRacing. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing.
What oval circuits do you not have?
The very, 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 very small ones that NASCAR doesn't
Okay,
visit.
right. But that to be fair, they're only like 11 quid, aren't sorry, $11, I think, compared to the
Yeah.
$15 of no. But you're absolutely right.
You know,
No one really visits
yeah.
them, I
I
guess.
mean, every once in a while they are put into the C-fixed calendar, which is the oval series I race, most more frequently. But usually that is a drop week for me, because then I'm going to buy them, race for 1 week, and then who knows when they are going to be used again. So, I could buy them, but I don't really want to do so. If I'm forced to, like if we ever do a broadcast of some series, I will happily buy them. But yeah, it's a bit strange that I completed the road courses before the oval courses, but broadcasting we are mainly on the road side, so that makes sense. Tony Kloosterman taking the white flag and getting ready to celebrate his first victory of the day. Dominant performance from him, absolutely fantastic.
Woodward has got ahead of Whiting on the very last lap. Maybe a little bit of contact between the two of them. They were ever so close at this point. Woodward trying to go down the inside. I'm not sure if that's a connection issue or just on my end.
No,
But seems...
yeah, Clyde went wide in the first corner, so I think he hit the curb on the inside of turn 1 too hard, and that's basically what caused him to go that wide, and that was him losing 10th place, so top 10 goes to Anthony Woodward, and Whiting stays second in the yellow race in the Gentleman Cup, but the overall winner will be Tony Kloosterman.
Yeah, Tony Kloosterman to cross the line for his third race victory of the season, and he has done it in dominant fashion here at Oulton Park, 8 seconds clear of nearest rival Nicole Foggy, and that will feel very satisfying, I'm sure, to Tony. Probably isn't going to win the championship, but he has pegged back a few points at least in that sprint race, and we can certainly not wait for the feature race, which, before we go through the results, and of course the reverse grid will be about 20 minutes after that. Big off for Antonia on the very last lap, was running as high as 8th place in the early stages, but he's dropped back a further 2 places down to 11th now, and with a lot of damage as well. He's going to beat Katie Rose Taranto at least, and this is what happened to Antonia. Remember, this is just with a few corners to go, no pressure from behind, and wow, very aggressive driving. And straight into the back, got back going very quickly, but the damage was certainly done. Crosses the line in the end in 11th place.
Exactly, and while we were watching the replay, everyone went through the start-finish line. And so in just a few seconds, yes, here we go with the final race results for race 1.
Yes, and like I said, Tony Kloosterman winning out his third race victory of the season, and certainly his easiest from pole to the race to the checkered flag. Nicole Foggy was in second place with Victor Tanaka hard earned third. Johnny Brandon finished in fourth. He'll probably be quite satisfied with that after a couple of incidents. Richard Warring, a solid fifth, holds off Harold Stadler to the end. Nikolai Bogotayev was in seventh with Guy Croft in 8th. There was Anthony Woodward, who had a good drive to make a couple of overtakes. Clyde Whiting rounded out the top 10, with Philip Antonia ending up in 11th after a fantastic start. He kind of just went backwards after that, especially with a late mistake. Katie Rose Taranto was the last driver on the lead lap in 12th, but Michael Frost and Andrew Hoffman also, I believe, finished the race, and so too did Bill Switzer, actually, 4 laps down in 15th place. So, Marco, we've talked about it already. We desperately want a decently sized reverse grid. Certainly something like 8 or so would be very much appreciated. So what are we going to get today?
Let's see, because we have the reverse grid wheel on your screen right now, and let's roll it. Well, we were 1 inch away from a full reverse, instead it's 7, so the curse, I would say, continues, because 7 and then the next one was 12, which would have been the full reverse.
Oh, dear.
So yeah, not going to work. I think we only had single-digit reverses this season, if I'm not mistaken, and we
Yeah.
only have the final round. Well, we are going to have a guaranteed full reverse in race 3, but let's see, because it would be great to have also a full reverse in race 2. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because we have to think about race 2, and so it's Bogatairev to get the pole. Arash, Steller, Wormingham, Brandon, and Tanaka. Your top 5, then Foggy and Kloosterman, and then Croft, Woodward, Whiting, Antonia, Taranto, Frost, Hoffman, and Switzer. Your starting grid for the upcoming race 2. Double the length, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be a fantastic race. I remember Bogataya, Stadler, and Warmingham haven't won a race all season. Neither has Tanaka as well. It's a fantastic opportunity for them to get their first race victories of the season, considering that this circuit appears to be very difficult to overtake now. And that's what we expected from Malta Park, and certainly has delivered. We'll be back in about 25 minutes' time for race 2 of the evening. Do not miss it.
big. Punch it. Great job. You did really well.
Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
it. Smash it. Great job. You did really well.
Welcome back to the KSW Painting UOV8 Supercar Series live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again I am joined alongside by Marco Barbanera, and we're just about to grid up for race 2 of the evening. Quick word from you, Marco. Race 1, difficult to overtake, and hopefully we'll see that same trait in this second race. Could perhaps have a surprise winner.
Yes, but I don't know why in the break between race 1 and race 2 I was a bit I was concerned about a possible pile-up, and you know, it could really happen. We'll see how aggressive are the quick drivers to wanting to get back to the front. Some of them are really up there. Brandon is 4th, Wormingham is 3rd, Tanaka, Foggy, Kloosterman. So let's see, it's going to be an interesting one, and I think that the starting grid should be on your screens right now.
Yes, and it's Nikolai Bogtayev who finished 8th in race 1. Sorry, 7th in race 1. He is going to be on pole for race 2. Hal Stadler's alongside him next. Richard Warmingham, Johnny Brandon, Victor Tanaka, Nicole Foggy, Tony Kloosterman, Gary Croft, Anthony Woodward, and Clyde Whiting rounding out the top 10. Then behind that is Antonio Taranto, Frost, and Hoffman. 14 cars here. Race 2 of the evening. And it's Nikolai Bogtayev and Hal Stadler forming the front row of the grid. And away we go for round 20 of the season. And it's a fantastic start from the pole sitter once again. But Stadler is going to challenge him going into turn 1. It's surely going to be a change of position straight into turn 1. And it's a fantastic start for Hal Stadler. Already trying to get up into second place is Johnny Brandon. He's just pulling ahead of Nikolai Bogtayev, who does back out early on there. Foggy a little bit out of sorts just on the outside there, but he has had a good first corner at least, up a couple of positions. He's currently alongside his teammate Richard Warmingham, and Victor Tanaka also making up a couple of paces as well. Warmingham just getting shuffled down the order a little bit. Stadler having to defend going into the banked corner, and he's holding off Brandon for now, but I have no doubt that Johnny will be eager to get that move done straight away.
Yes, good start from everyone, especially from Stadler and Brandon there, as I think Anthony Woodward is having some issues, or that is Philip Antonia. Yes, that is Philip Antonia. Sorry, because it's it's ANT on the graphics, and I always think it's Ant Woodward, but no, it's of course Philip Antonia. By the way, thanks to Tony Kloosterman for giving us the details on the strategy. One stopper, and it's going to be tires and fuel, and I think lap 22 will be the more the most that these guys can push without stopping, but I will get back on that for you later. So Stadler, Brandon, Bogataire, Foggy, and Tanaka, your top 5.
Here comes Foggy then down the inside into the final corner. Bukata is going to fight this one. Doesn't usually fight these battles too hard, does Nikolai? And well, he'll just be wanting a solid result. And he's actually going to lose another position here to Tanaka as well, seemingly. Tanaka just putting his car on the inside. Not too much that Bukata can do there, although there's big contact between the two of them. And I think that was just Tanaka understaying a little bit. Bukata really getting shuffled down the order now. Now he's down behind Kloosterman as well. And so it's pretty much the assumed top 5, apart from this man, Hal Stadler, that we're riding on board with right now, who's leading the field for Atomic Motorsports. How much longer? Because here comes Brandon down the inside into the carousel. Hal Stadler's going to have a decent line on the outside and might just have the drive out he needs to maintain that lead. He's not going to give this one up easy. It's his best chance at a race win yet. And whilst it's looking very unlikely he's going to be able to hold on to it for another 31 laps, he's going to hold on to it for as many laps as possible.
Here he comes again, Johnny Brandon now on the inside of the chicane. Very tough to go around here. He already clipped the wall. He makes the move. Didn't clip the wall apparently, and we have a new leader.
And now trying to go down the inside again is Foggy, but he's going to have a bad run. And through goes Tony Kloosterman up into 3rd position. And that is a crucial move. Now, Kloosterman's going to try to get past Stadler straight away. Maybe he doesn't need to rush this too much. And down the inside goes Tanaka or Foggy, who's now off the circuit. The championship leader is into the wall. How much damage has he picked up there? He's falling down the order, and his chances at a podium really surely coming to an end there. He's down into 10th position.
Okay, so now a big decision for Nicole. Does he stop now, but he knows he has to stop again later? No, he stays out. We'll have to get the faster pair in as soon as possible. The pit window, by the way, opens on lap 11 or lap 12 at the earliest. So that is going to be a few more laps that he has to wait before he gets to the pit stall and make his faster pair. And the later that you can stop, by the way, according to Tony Kloosterman, lap 24 or 25. So an interesting moment there, and certainly we could see a comeback for the ages from Nicole Foggy. Is already going past Taranto there, moving up to P9, but of course yes, on damage is not going to be easy for him.
Tanaka is a little bit out of position, still lost out to Bogotayev when he went for that move on Foggy. Here he goes again. There's no room there. No, he's going to make some room. That's what he's going to do. He's on the outside for this next one, but still has a decent opportunity on the exit. That's Richard Warmingham just trying to get involved as well with Gary Crofton. Anthony Woodward also piling in. Foggy's closing in on these guys very quickly. Bogotayev is defending almost into every corner. These two did make contact earlier on. Just wonder if Nikolai's got a little bit of a grudge right now against Tanaka, and that's the reason why he's providing a very stern defense at the moment. Down the inside goes Tanaka, again not fully committed. Bogotayev does well there to leave room. He didn't have to there, and well, he was very responsible for not making contact there. Tanaka going very wide, almost into the concrete pit wall, but he does make that move eventually, and he is 5 seconds off the lead, but Tanaka, that's a crucial move.
Very nice move there, great battling by Bogotayev, as he is now down to P5, sadly for him. Arab Stadler still holding on to the podium spot. Now Tanaka, of course, will do his utmost to get back to the race, to the podium at least. Whilst at the front, might have a tasty battle now, and Brandon and Kloosterman, 0.7 of a second between the two of them. But let's go back to Richard Warmingham and the rest of the guys fighting for that podium spot.
Yeah, this is turning into quite an epic battle. Lots of different kind of pace between these guys. You remember we got Foggy at the back of this pack, who's undoubtedly much faster, but hasn't been able to make that pace show so far after that early off. Because this battle's quite important, Bogotayev versus Warmingham, because these two in race 1 were relatively even paced, maybe Warmingham with about 0.3 of a second per lap extra, but it's certainly in Bogotayev's best interest to hang on to this one for as long as possible. Also very close for the lead currently. Brandon only 0.3 of a second ahead of Kloosterman. It's rare that we see this. Maybe the other way round. Kloosterman always a fantastic qualifier as Foggy goes for a move. But Kloosterman, always a fantastic qualifier, can sometimes fall into the clutches of the likes of Brandon come the races, but the other way round today, with Brandon starting further up, but Kloosterman with the superior pace at the moment. As Brandon's, Warming's going to go for that move. Bogdanov having none of it, and puts his guys to the middle of the circuit, which doesn't leave a car's width on the left-hand side of the circuit there for Warming.
Yes, absolutely. Some great battles all over the field. Let's go on board with Tony right now, as he's trying to get past Johnny Brandon, who has the good opportunity, because Foggy, yes, I think he's going to come back, but still he has to work for those overtakes. Not going to be easy, and of course he has some damage, so maybe, just maybe, a small chance to keep the championship open. As you see now, Tony gets a bad run through the first chicane. These tire bundles are... I'm surprised that only one driver, that being of course Johnny Brandon, went into those, because they are so close to the racetrack. It's always they are always there, and of course with open wheeler I learned at my expense, at my Skip Barber's expense many times, they are not very kind. Foggy behind Croft, this is for P7.
Should be simple enough for Nico Foggy. Remember, Foggy saves ahead of Croft. Croft was super unlucky not to get involved in the reverse grid earlier on. Was one place out. But he's done a very good job so far, one place further up than he started. And crucially, leader of the club drivers at the moment, because Tarante is actually ahead of Whiting as well. Whiting undoubtedly Croft's main challenger for the championship, and after beating him in the first race, he's on course for extending his championship lead even further. Warming still can't get the move done on Bogotayev. Nice defense though from Nikolai, it must be said. Oh, and Warming now off the circuit onto the grass. He's just about going to hold on to 6th place, but that could have been a lot worse.
Yes, and now he's in the clutches of Croft and Foggy, so the good defending from Bogotayev pays off, because now he has a little bit of breathing room there, as we see on the left side. I think that is a river, correct me if I'm wrong, running basically parallel to the racetrack for just a bit. A very, very picturesque setting for this particular racetrack. In the meantime, Tanaka looking very big in Stadler's mirror, and this is for P3.
Ooh. Big move this for Tanaka, because he's already lost it. He's got similar pace to the race leaders. He's going to go to the inside, almost spins it, and I think Stadler got a little bit out of shape as well. But that was superb car control there from Victor Tanaka to hold on to his car. Gonna have to wait for a couple more corners soon. The final corner definitely his best chance. You feel Stadler with a lock up on corner entry. He's a little bit far back, but we saw him come from this far back earlier on, and he's going to go for it again, not fully committed. He's just going to glance down the inside, make his presence very noticeable, and now have the ideal line going into turn 1. Surely nothing that Stadler can do about this. Wants to get, I believe, which would be his second podium of the season after his one at Sonoma, but he's going to drop outside the podium places temporarily down into 4th now.
I mean, that was a Victor Tanaka overtake, if there is such a thing. Absolutely committed. Wasn't very committed, to be honest, when he first made the move. But once he was side by side, there was no looking back for him, and he was able to get there. Close once again, so bad lap earlier on for Kloosterman, 1 lap ago, but now he's coming back. Actually, he just did the fastest lap of the race at 34.9. That was 0.6 of a second quicker than what Johnny Brandon did. And so we might have a battle for the lead, or well, we have a battle for the lead on our hands right now. At the same time, Foggy is trying to get past Croft, but he's not been able to do so. And he still has to, you know, and this goes to show, I mean, no disrespect to Gary Croft, of course, but we know how quick Foggy is. He's the championship leader for a reason, and he's still not able to make the move on Gary Croft. So if there's a place where you don't want to lose many spots at the beginning of the race, this is it. Tough work, tough race 2 for Nicole Foggy ahead if he wants to get some position. I'm sure, of course, he's dealing with some big damage to his car, because that was a pretty nasty hit that he had in the opening laps.
Yeah, absolutely. Expect him to be in around lap 10. I think you were saying earlier on, Mark, how it's 22
11.
laps that these drivers can do. Right, yeah. So
11 or 12 is the earliest they can start.
So Yeah, so expect him in about 3 laps time. Tried to make some progress in the meantime, although really he doubt he could make up kind of more than about 1 position in the next few laps, because then he's got Bogotayev and Warmium who are forming a bit of a roadblock only just up the road. Although of course Warmium is his teammate. Bogotayev has been stern enough in defence, as it is though.
Oh, he's
And
wide.
on goes Croft. And is that going to be a collision with the wall potentially? Could be a collision potentially with another driver, Anthony Woodward there, who almost got collected by Croft, but he is now back on the track, and seemingly just pushing a little bit too hard into that quick left-hander.
Yes, almost collecting his teammate there, but luckily nothing happened, so Foggy down, sorry, up to 7th place. And his next target will be, like you said, his teammate from XVR Green, Richard Wormingham, and see the gap between the two of them. It's 1.2 seconds, so it's not very close. I mean, it's close, but not as close as you want to go for a move. Meantime, Bogotayev still making himself big and helping a bit, of course, like you were saying, Foggy indirectly, because he's forming a bit of a roadblock, which is absolutely entitled to do, because he's defending his position and he's defending a very nice P5. Bit of a mistake there. Here comes Wormingham, and he goes past Bogotayev with ease. So one more position lost by Nikolai. It's 5 positions lost since the start of the race. By the way, let's get the weather on just for a quick second. It's a 7:45. It's of course the 15th of May. We have partly cloudy skies. The track temperature is just 20 degrees.
Yeah, it could get quite dark by the end of this one, as Foggy is going to go for a move in a corner that you don't associate overtakes with necessarily. Bogotayev is going to be very wide, and he's got to be careful when he rejoins the circuit. He isn't going to lose a position, crucially. But, well, the job that took Warmingham some 5 laps to do takes Foggy just a couple of corners. Brandon defending into the chicane. Kloosterman just running a little bit wide there. Good news for that Foggy mistake, or sorry, there wasn't a mistake, but that Foggy Tanaka incident really has changed this complexion of the race, because if Foggy was just behind Kloosterman, undoubtedly Kloosterman would be really eager to get the move done. He'd have to get the move done, otherwise Nicole would be right on his tail. But as it is, the fact that he's got a little bit of a gap back to P3, and P3, of course, is his teammate, means he can take a little bit more time, maybe wait till the pit stops to really make an impression on the race lead potentially. But well, we'll wait and see what his tactics are over the next few laps. Certainly the pit window almost open, just a couple more laps to go.
Yeah, so say hello to Lane O'Connor, who is watching us on YouTube. We wish him to come back very, very soon. Tanaka gets his fastest lap of the race, 35.3. Actually, faster than both Kloosterman and Brandon is Victor Tanaka in this last lap. So he is certainly, it's not very close, 5 seconds away, but, oh man, look at Tony Kloosterman. All sorts of sideways there. And yes, if these two guys keep taking these crazy lines and going sideways, Victor Tanaka could come back in this fight. Like I said, 5 seconds away, so he's not close. But he's all alone, and he has clean track in front, clean track behind. He can surely concentrate on getting quick laps and maybe try and come back, and maybe also give a helping hand, like you were saying, to his teammate Tony Kloosterman for the race win.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was half a second faster than the last lap was Tanaka. We can't forget, or at least I keep forgetting that Al Stadler's, of course, in this race. It's very quiet. P4 currently a little bit by himself. He's getting caught a little bit by Richard Warmium, he's got some good pace out there. Only slightly slower than his teammate Nicole Foggy on that last one. Tanaka's made a mistake, and is he going to lose a position as well? And, well, a bit of a commentator's curse there, it must be said, because we expect him to close in on the top 2. He's going to have to use that fast pass straight away. He's really going to have to push this fuel, this second stint, and so too in is Foggy. So seemingly, maybe they can get away with pitting in on lap 10, and well, 2 of the front runners having to pit in very early to fix their respective damages.
I would love to go to a replay, but I know that if I do so, Tony is going to get past Johnny, so we have to wait just a bit. I have it ready in case we can go to a replay soon enough. Let's see, because last time I went to a replay in this part of the track, Johnny hit one of those tire bundles and lost one position, so not the best place to go to a replay right now. And but you can see Tony is there. He knows it's very, very tough to pass in this particular corner, and now I dare to go to a replay. Is Tanaka. Ooh, the jump. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's a big hit. Oh, and he's having issues
and he's off
again.
again.
This is after the pit stop, by the way. So,
And he's lost that place to Foggy.
going from bad to worse for Victor Tanaka there.
Oh, here comes Kloosterman. Brandon taking an early turn in there just to fend off. Kloosterman trying to get the power down, just not there are the rear tyres. And they won't come in this time. They don't have to be too worried about the undercut from their rivals. Well, maybe Foggy. Of course, the tyres will be degrading, so if they pit now, or if Kloosterman pits now, he could probably jump Brandon. But he'll probably try to stay out a little bit longer, otherwise his tyres are going to be very tired by the end of the race. Only a third into this one, just a little bit over third into this one. Kloosterman's very wide, nearly hitting the grass. He's leaving nothing to spare at the moment, Marco.
Yes, let's see what happened to Tanaka very quickly. He put two wheels on the grass there. Oh, that was very weird and very lucky to avoid the wall and avoid collecting Nicole Foggy there. So, strange mistake there from Tanaka.
Yeah, he'll be kicking himself there just a little bit, just a little bit lazy. Getting his couple of wheels on the grass down the straight, but of course you can understand, did not expect the car to suddenly lose grip like that. Just shows the difficulties of this Oulton Park circuit. Bogatyre's got a little bit of a Q4 in behind him. Of course, he's got used to being overtaken today. Bogatyre after that very lofty starting position of first. And he's now got Croft and Woodward right on his tail. Nice little battle there happening for currently 5th, 6th and 7th. Although that will turn out to be a couple of places lower than that later on.
These two front runners are staying out. So, at the same time, R. Stedler under pressure from Richard Wormingham. This would be a nice battle, like you said, and Bogatyre has got Croft and Woodward behind him, and Nicole Foggy right now is in the middle of nowhere in P9, but of course most of the field has to go through the pit stops, so he's sitting in a good position for a nice comeback.
Wormingham was pretty feisty earlier on, trying to get past Bogatyre. He had to be, really. Eventually managed to pressure Bogatyre into a mistake. Or is he going to be able to against Adler? Certainly XVR seemingly not nailing the setup today. Or maybe their drivers just not experienced with this car track combination. We did speak to, well, I think it was Nicole a couple of weeks ago. He didn't even own the circuit or didn't even race the circuit before. And certainly not a track visited too much on iRacing. And you can imagine very tight and twisty, very complex, very difficult to learn. And so we've got a car off over there, and that's Victor Tanaka, who has had enough. He's gone back to the pits, and well, I don't blame him too much because he has had a mare of literally just the last 3 laps where it's all gone badly.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very, very aggressive in these past couple of laps and made some uncharacteristic mistakes. And sadly for him, that was his race. He's had enough. As Tony Kloosterman is in, but to avoid speeding.
Nice move there from Richard Wormingham. Sadler might be able to come back. But no, making that mistake. So Richard Wormingham up into 2nd position. So did you say that Kloosterman was into the pits?
Yes. Kloosterman
Yes,
is
apologies.
He's coming out, so around 36-39 seconds the average pit lane time. So I think he's on the safe side. No speedings, no anything of that nasty sort. Now it's pedal to the metal, hopefully without any issues like that, and trying to get back on a good rhythm. Let's see if Johnny Brandon is going to respond or not.
You think he'll have to. Otherwise, he'll just be giving Kloosterman the undercut. Kloosterman's not going to get in too much trouble. He got Clyde Whiting, but he's his own teammate. And then he'll have to catch another 11 seconds back to another one of his teammates. And then Gag Croft will be a little bit difficult. So Brennan's surely got to cover this off straight away. I was just looking at the track map, hence why I didn't quite hear you before, Marco.
Don't worry.
Some decent corners around this. Decent named corners. You've got the Avenue, Denton's, Cascades, Island Bend, Water Tower, all just Lodge Corner. Very, very British names. Very British names.
And
Brandon is into the pits and, well, leaving nothing on the table there.
just before you said that, I pull up the track map on the broadcast as well, so the drivers, the spectators can see where their favorite drivers are, and of course where they come out in traffic or not. So Brandon is in, Wormingham and Stadler are going past. Let's see, Bocatairev is in, here comes Croft, he stays out. So where is Tony Kloosterman? Here he is. Final corner for him. Brandon is exiting his pit stall.
Oh, this could be close. Kloosterman, I think he's just going to be behind because Brandon can cut the first corner, obviously. As long as he gets the power down, he should be okay from the attacks of the Canadian. And a sinking feeling will be heading to the Canadian right now because he is seeing the driver who he's spent some 14 laps behind already behind. And he's going to have to spend a few more behind. And Kloosterman, if he's going to claim his first double of the season, is going to have to get this one done on the circuit.
Yes, so the undercut didn't work, but of course now Johnny has cold tires for a couple of laps, whilst Tony's are in good shape, and I think Tony knows this. He wants to go for the move straight away.
Yeah, this is probably his best opportunity. Can they both get the power down? Yeah, good car control from the pair though. Kloosterman to the outside. Can he go for the dummy? Not really, but he's really around the outside. Contact between the top two. Kloosterman is going to be able to keep on going. Brandon's fine. And, well, I'm sure this battle is going to resume, but it's just got ever so more interesting because a collision between the top two. 3 championships between the pair of them. And this is what happened. Kloosterman, superb on the brakes. You can see he just didn't quite brake as much. And maybe a little bit of netcode perhaps, but, well, Kloosterman was fortunate not to become worse off there.
Reminded me a bit of Bottas versus Verstappen in Monza last season, even though that was a much more malicious from Max there. So I think that Johnny is he waiting for Tony? I think the gap wasn't this big when the accident happened, so I think they are back, 0.6 of a second between the two of them, so battle will resume, and we are very happy about that. Nicole Foggy is 9 seconds behind, so he's not going to profit too much from this. Let's see the battle. I think the cars are okay. I was fearing the worst for Tony's car, maybe some suspension damage, but no, he's looking good. Let's see. On board with Johnny Brandon as he's got Clyde Whiting that has yet to stop in front of him. Let's see the pit situations, by the way.
Brandon getting a little bit held up there. Nice run for Kloosterman, but Brandon does well to defend.
Yes.
Oh, almost got. Oh, wow.
So yet to stop are Wormingham, Croft and Whiting in this second race, and they can go up until I think lap 22, maybe even a bit more, so they are not in a rush, but of course the more they stay out, the more their tires will get worn, as we see Wormingham coming in for his scheduled stop from the race lead, so this will promote Gary Croft to the temporary race lead, not only overall, but also of course he's a leader in his class. Let's concentrate on these two legendary drivers of this series, fighting it out on the racetrack for yet another win. Whiting comes in, and so we are just waiting for Croft, and then the pit cycle will be complete, and I think after all of this we might have Nicole Foggy back on the podium.
yeah, I was saying how it would be difficult for him to get back onto the podium, but it's only taken him half the race to get there. Managed to jump Stadler in the pits and warming him as well. So a couple of very good laps there from Nick Opoggi, but his tyres are going to be quite old. And so any pursuit of the top two is going to be with great difficulty. He is already 10 seconds behind, but if they keep on fighting like this and keep on making contact, as they have already done, you would not count anything out.
Yes, halfway mark of the race has come and gone. 32 laps, double the distance of the first race as the sun is going down. Let's go on board with Tony so we can see how low the sun is, and maybe also putting a little bit of, you know, making the drivers a little bit uncomfortable there, especially on the long back straight. Here the trees, of course, are helping the drivers by shielding them from the sun. But very gentlemanly of Johnny to wait for Tony. And it's the second time we see something like that today. Of course, that was Tanaka waiting for Brandon, if I'm not mistaken. So it has been certainly a good show of sportsmanship all around so far tonight, and that's really the trademark of the championship. Brandon 35.1, that's his personal best for this race as Gary Croft keeps on going.
Yep, eking this one out as long as he possibly can. Has no allegiances to either of these teams. And so if they do have to pass him, could be quite difficult. He should come in by then. He's only got about 4 more laps to go, but these guys are, well, they're only about a second lap faster. Fantastic pace from Gary Croft, considering the age of his tyres. Has got quite a bit less fuel, but you'd certainly expect the new tyres to outweigh that less fuel. So no, very impressive from Gary Croft. Currently could well be himself into contention, maybe even for a top 5 finish. Has he just had an off?
I think he has, just lightly. Let's see.
Ah, I didn't
Yes.
leave him too much time.
No. Almost commentator's curse, but not quite. Let's see if he comes in. Then, of course, like we said many times, is the last driver we are waiting for in the pit cycle. And he's in. No, he's not.
Nope.
Sorry. Oh man. Okay. Back to the battle here.
Yep, Kloosterman. Still can't get it done. He's had about 15 laps of trying. And every lap that goes by, of course, the lead driver just learns where the driver behind is fast, where they're slow, learns how to defend. And you feel as though every lap that goes by, the eventual overtake is less likely. Certainly wouldn't rule it out, but because Kloosterman is certainly the faster driver. But it's not looking fantastic for him at the moment. Tight battle between Bogotayev and Woodward. Who was close to these guys earlier on? Oh, it was Croft, of course, so Croft might overcut these guys. But yeah, only half a second between Bogotayev and Woodward. Currently, that's the battle for 7th position. We hesitate to go away from this battle because, of course, anything could happen at any time. And, well, this one even closer than that other battle I was talking about. You can see Brandon's just not leaving any risk, is he, Mark? He's not going to get out Fox, get, you know, done by a surprise move like his teammate, also like he was in race 1 by Tanaka. He is going to just give Tony absolutely nothing. And if he is going to get overtaken, it's going to have to be something spectacular from Kloosterman to do it.
Oh, Tony, wow, that was so close to getting into the wall. Great save there, but that is not going to help his tire wear one bit. By the way, Croft keeps on going, and I think he's going to extend his tire window and fuel window until the very last drop of fuel in the race car, which is going to be in a couple of laps, maybe 3, maybe 4. But unluckily for him, he doesn't have too much TV time because these two guys are putting on a fantastic show. And this is effectively the fight for the race win, and it's absolutely amazing. By the way, 35.61, 35.62. 35.2 for Nicole Foggy, but he's too far behind, unfortunately for him, so he's not going to factor in the race win. But if he manages to finish in third place, Sam, a great comeback drive, and considering how things were looking for him at the very beginning of the race, I think he would be very, very happy with that result in the end.
Yeah, second and third would be a good points haul for him, would bring him closer to his inaugural UOV8 SuperCar Series title after coming pretty close last year. Just a few races which were a bit iffy from him in the first half of the season meant he was beaten by his teammate Johnny Brandon, but this season, certainly the luck swapping hands, and despite, of course, Foggy having those issues at Imola, Brandon's had more issues, I think, in not being able to do any races at Nürburgring, and I think also not being able to do a race somewhere else. Kloosterman is sideways every time over that crest. He seems to almost be falling to the same mistake as his teammates, but he's hanging on to it. I guess for Tony, he's not going to win the championship. He doesn't care if he crashes out here. Even if he does, he can get the fast repair, and he'll still probably finish in about 5th position. He is just everything about the win right now. So can afford to take those risks.
I mean, he's all over the place in a good way, using all of the track and then a bit of the runoff areas, going sideways. He's really putting on a show for us, putting Johnny Brennan under some massive pressure, and I'm quite sure that Johnny knows that the championship is very, very tough to get, even if he wins this race. So I think he's also going for the race win, and will do whatever he can to get that race win in the books. So I'm expecting some great battling between these two guys from now until the end of the race. Lap 21 right now, so not long left for either of them. As you can see, Tony always looking for the outside there, but it's very, very tricky to get past unless you have a massive run, which was not the case there. Let's switch cameras to our race leader for just a bit. Driver for NQR as well, Gary Croft, as he's waiting to get into the pits. I should maybe this time. Let's see.
He's got a 32-second gap over Nikolai Bogotayev currently. He'll probably lose out, but he's going to have very fresh tyres. He's going to be extremely fast in the closing stages. So will be an interesting battle between Bogotayev, Woodward, and himself right at the end. Pretty much everyone's just spreading out. Even that Bogotayev Woodward battle now 1.2 seconds between the pair of them now. And apart from that, pretty much 6, 7, 5 seconds between everyone from about 4th to 7th place currently. And then really outside the top 10, everyone's very much spread out. So this is definitely the closest battle. And well, if we could have one battle on the circuit, it would certainly be for first position. Of course, looking ahead to next week, 2 weeks' time, Marco, we're heading to Stetson, my home circuit. And certainly looking forward to that one. That'll be on the 200 layout, unlike the 300 layout we visited when we visited there a couple of seasons ago. And well, that'll be fantastic, especially considering that it's the Super Sprints.
Yes, in the by far my favorite layout. It's one of those tracks where, personally speaking, I love one layout and I completely hate the other. I never raced in the 100 in iRacing, but it's like Brands Hatch, where I am decent in the Indy and I love the Indy layout, and I'm terrible in the GP, or Sonoma, where I love the Cup and hate all the others. So good choice for the final round of the season. Triple header, so you know that the fireworks will be on display. Final round of the season, and guaranteed full reverse for race 3 as Croft finally takes a run through the pit lane to get his mandatory stop, or recommended stop in, I should say. As yeah, so and of course, yeah, it's your home track, so I'm sure you are excited about that. And one of those tracks that I don't know how to do in real life, but always think about that runoff area of the first corner, that basically there is no wall. You go and go and go until you end up in some crops, I think, because there is no barrier there basically.
No.
And in iRacing, you just fall down the edge of the wall, basically. So maybe the iRacing developers are flat earthers. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, if you keep on going down there, you'll head to Ipswich eventually, which is a joke that only East Anglians will get, unfortunately. Oh, Kloosterman sliding the car around.
Well, I know that the Norwich versus Ipswich Town derby
I guess you do, don't you? Yeah.
is called the Old Farm. So
The derby of all derbies. You
yeah.
know, that's the one that forget your Manchester, forget Milan, forget Madrid. You know that Ipswich versus Norwich. Absolutely, the top derby in the world.
You
And of course, Norwich hasn't lost a derby for about 10 years, and are heading back to the Premier League. Of course.
yeah, you won't be, happy hearing this, but I always followed Ipswich Town with some, attention because Mick McCarthy was their manager, and I absolutely love Mick McCarthy.
I did like Mick McCarthy, to be fair.
But now
The
Norwich in the
ultimate
Premier,
championship
and Norwich in the
boss, I'd
Premier
say.
League, and Ipswich in League One. So
Yeah.
who knows when the next derby might be? Yes, Tony
Oh.
Kloosterman not leaving anything on the table, but I think, Sam, that must have been, or could have been, the final mistake, because now his tires will be destroyed, I think. And so I think that was the last chance he had, unless something crazy happens, because or either he's much quicker than Johnny, even with the mistake he just made. So, well, let's see. I might have to eat my words, because look at how much time Tony gained through the chicane. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Johnny did have a short pit stop. His pace in this second stint, Johnny, has been relatively slow for his standards. And just shown by the fact that this guy, Nicole Foggy, has closed in by about 5 seconds in the past 7 laps or so. And if he carries on at that rate, he is going to be onto the back of these guys by the end of the race. Tony, warming up those tires, he's very thankful, I imagine, Tony, the fact that it is quite cool out there, down to 19 degrees track temperature. This was somewhere like Sonoma, or any of the kind of Californian or kind of some of the American circuits. His tires would be absolutely baked and would have absolutely no grip. But thanks to the northeast or wherever this circuit is, it is yeah, not hurting his tyres too much as it stands. Even Warmium's lapping faster than these guys by quite a bit.
Lap 25 starting right now. So we have Brandon, Kloosterman, and Foggy. 3 names that have been at the forefront of this championship for basically, well, the past 2 or 3 years. And we are only missing Michael Evdoka from this. Would have been like the history of the championship. All the champions would have been in one shot. We have most of the champions in one shot, which is good enough if you ask me. And I am absolutely amazed about how quickly Tony was able to get back to the rear end of Johnny's car after that mistake, which I thought was going to be the end of the road for Tony. And like you said, Sam, probably a big helping hand coming from the situation of the weather. We have very cool track temperature, so Tony has been able to risk a bit more, taking it a bit easier now. Now it's Johnny maybe, but gaining a lot over that crest. So maybe Tony took it a bit easier, or maybe he's having some issues because he is dropping back and back. Let's go on board with him.
Yeah, I thought he may have had a slowdown, but there's not really anywhere where you can pick up a slowdown around this. So not even the chicanes, because of course you got those very intimidating kind of tyre bundles on the apexes. But drops back by about 2 seconds. He kind of just needs to cool down his tyres a little bit, maybe just have a break for a couple of laps and then go back at it again. Because, well, this immense amount of pressure just doesn't seem to be making any effect on Johnny Brandon at all. I did say earlier on how Gary Croft would be very quick at this part of the race, and he is extremely quick. He's almost lapping the same times as the race leaders currently. and he's closing in on these two, Bogatayev and Woodward, by quite a bit per lap, about a second per lap, and he's only 2 seconds behind. So Bogatayev, he's had at least one cut deep in his mirrors all race on. He's now going to have 2 of them right on his tail in the closing stages. But he has done an awesome job, and up in 6th place, really the best that he could hope for. Hal Stadler, further 6 seconds ahead of these guys, hasn't actually been pulling away that much in this second stint. Just shows the competitiveness of Bogatayev and Woodward. And if Whiting has, it's Croft going off the circuit, so another bit of a commentator's curse there for Gary Croft. I was just about to say, if Croft didn't have the likes of Bogatayev and Woodward ahead, he's got so much pace he could almost catch up to Stadler, but I'm sure he's going to take a 6th position if it is presented to him. Kloosterman closing back on the gap on that last lap. He closed in by 9/10 of a second. Maybe, if anything, just showing that he's got that much pace. I remember, I don't remember, but I remember hearing how Michael Schumacher, the 02 Hungarian Grand Prix, was told to sit behind Rubens Barrichello, and he'd occasionally drop back a few seconds and go a second lap faster, just to show that he was definitively faster, if anyone had any questions. And it almost seems like Kloosterman is doing that right now.
I mean, I was looking at the sector times of the lap just after Tony's mistake, which was the lap we just finished, and he was quicker than Johnny in every sector. He was quicker, and like you said, in the end, it was almost 1 second gain. Now gap down to 0.4 of a second. So Tony means business. How much is he willing to risk to make this move? They already made contact earlier in the proceedings. I can only imagine the frustration on Tony's side, because he knows the back of that Ford basically by heart, being behind there for the past 43 minutes and counting. So let's see, always sideways there, but the moment the lap he didn't go sideways, he lost 1.5 seconds. And now once again we have this battle. They are so close, and they have to be careful, because now if they make contact, if they lose time, Nicole Foggy is only 3 seconds back. So, and you can see him there in the back of the shot. So it's they have to be careful, otherwise they could throw away one to finish.
Yeah, definitely. I think these races are absolutely superb, isn't it? We haven't seen an overtake between these two, and yet it's been fantastically entertaining, and the immense pressure. And of course, Zandvoort returning to Formula 1. A lot of criticism about that, but it's not all about overtakes. It's about kind of the lead up to the overtakes, which really make a race classic. Certainly don't usually get classic races where a driver just kind of wanders up to the back of another and passes them straight away. It's usually these fantastic race-long battles where one driver has got to constantly be thinking, where on earth they could possibly make a move. And certainly this is turning into a classic race between these two great champions. Since they've stopped fighting, Foggy hasn't been able to make any impression. Just shows how certainly Kloosterman is the fastest driver out on circuit, and with their upturning pace, they might just be safe from Nicole Foggy right to the end of the event. So Marco, where is he going to make the move? If you were Tony Kloosterman, would you have any kind of ideas of a strategy you could deploy?
No, I would go for a desperation move somewhere. But I know that Tony is, and Johnny and Nicole and all the other guys want to avoid contact as much as possible. We've seen some great sportsmanship earlier today and in this race as well. I think that the key is getting a good exit from the first chicane, and then desperately try to sneak on the inside in the second, but it's so tough. Otherwise you need to get a fantastic run through the final section and maybe go for a move in the first corner, because otherwise, unless you want to really power your way through with some argy-bargy, it's not going to be possible to make an overtake. Let's see, because the laps are quickly coming towards the end, so there is not a lot of time left. And you can see right now Tony too far behind to try anything, and the situation will remain the same for at least one more lap.
A mistake on that last lap for Anthony Woodward. Okay, we hesitate to go back to it because anything could happen at any point, but this is what happened to you, Woodward. He was closing in on Bogatyve and, yeah, spinning up the wheels there and losing out to Gary Croft. So Croft, well, he's not really closing in that much anymore, Croft. I was expecting him to be a little bit faster with these fresh tyres. Doesn't seem like he's going to make much of an impression on Bogatyve, which is, and Nico Foggy is out of the race, the championship leader. And his championship lead is going to take a bit of a hemorrhaging as the two race leaders, second and third in the championship, go by. And nearly Kloosterman binning it as well. So plenty of mistakes in these closing stages. But Nicole Foggy, after dominating the past few rounds of the Euro V8 Supercar Series, and it's a complete unbossed there, really getting a lot of wheel spin. Once again, those barriers causing some unexpected action. And Nicole Foggy is out of round 20 of the season.
Yes, his car got hooked to the barriers. I don't think he would have had like better luck if that didn't happen, but that was a very violent crash. He already used his fast repair, but also there is no time to get the repair done and go back on the racetrack. And at the same time, that mistake from Tony, I think I have to stop saying this because every time I say that the race is over, then Tony comes back. But of course, with 2.5 laps left, he needs to not. If he makes, this mistake maybe was not needed right now because now he has to once again close the gap, which I know he's capable of doing, and then trying to find a chance to get try to get the overtake, and it's not going to be easy. We will get the 2 laps to go signal in a couple of corners, and basically they are once again so close to each other. So it's now or never for Tony Kloosterman. Nicole Foggy will finish in 10th place in the end, and losing a bit of points like you were saying. Of course, his drop round, I guess it's going to be Imola, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Remember, you cannot drop the final round, so after this one we have no more drop rounds basically. And let's go.
So we'll have a good impression of the championship going into the last round. No more drop weeks to kind of calculate. It's always a little bit annoying with the drop weeks that we don't quite have a precise idea. You got to think, what is a just drop round? What other rounds do they have? What round are we currently dropping? But going to that last round, we are going to absolutely know what is needed. And Foggy's made it a little bit more difficult for himself, but will still take a commanding lead, a couple of 100 points ahead at least. Going into the last round, we'll just need to finish a couple of those races, and he will be crowned champion. But this one isn't over. We'll pay a lot of attention to this now because we've got just 1 lap to go. Kloosterman has spent about 30 behind the race leader, Johnny Brandon, the defending champion, Johnny Brandon. Is he going to finally unlock the key to first position on the very last tour? We're about to start the 32nd lap here at Oulton Park. Round 20 of the season. Brandon leading, Kloosterman second, and he is as close as he has been at any point in the race. Any chance at a good run here? A little bit struggling with the traction on the exit, and of course there's no opportunity with a late braking move, trying to maybe take a slightly wider line onto the curb, maybe just running a little bit wide there is Kloosterman. And any chance he had at maybe a sneaky move down into the castle, probably over now. But there are still a couple more opportunities. Maybe the chicane is best opportunity. Brandon defending maybe a little bit unnecessarily there. And now they've got 2 chicanes and then a couple more corners to go after that. Kloosterman always very strong here, not quite taking as much early curb and running a little bit wide on the exit, but Brandon doesn't quite get the power down perfectly, and this is as close as Kloosterman has been all race long. Can Brandon cover off that outside line? Kloosterman trying to get the cut back, but Brandon doing everything he has to do. He's positioning his car absolutely perfectly, like he has been doing for the past 30 laps in this race, as Kloosterman jots back to about 4/10 behind. Just cannot claw that gap back with just 2 corners to go. He's got one last chance going into the final corner. How is the crest for the pair of them? Kloosterman is closing and closing and closing, but it's surely going to be Johnny Brandon. Kloosterman looks to the inside one last time, but Brandon has got the lead going into the final corner. He's got the lead coming out of the final corner, and he'll have the lead across the line. Johnny Brandon claims his 4th race victory of the season, and boy was it hard work. He was not the first up there, but that was really a drive of a champion.
Fantastic stuff, absolutely amazing racing. This was a poster for this championship, these two amazing drivers fighting it out for 32 laps, and that was a very well-deserved win for Johnny Brandon. Richard Wormingham in 3rd. Here comes a fantastic 4th for Harald Stadler, and Nikolai Bogatyev in 5th, the pole sitter. So the guys that benefited the most from the reverse, Wormingham, Stadler and Bogatyev, in the end, I think they can be pretty happy with the results there. Here comes Gary Croft winning the Gentleman Cup race. Anthony Woodward is 7th, and we are waiting for Clyde Whiting and Philip Antonia making his comeback, finishing in P9, so a better result for him after the 11th place in race 1. Where is Antonia? Here he is, and then everyone has gone past the start-finish line, and so I think we can go through the final results for race 2. Here we go.
Yes, and it's Johnny Brandon taking his 4th race victory of the season, and brings him a little bit closer to the championship leader, Nicole Foggy. Of course, still himself and Tony Kloosterman, 2nd place man, are still going to be a long way behind going into the final round of the championship in 2 weeks' time at Snetterton. Just 0.3 of a second separating them at the line. Richard Warming, fantastic podium for him. I think only maybe his 2nd podium of the season, something like that. So well done to him on that one. Only 16 seconds off the lead. Good performance there from Richard. Hal Stadler, quiet 4th place after a front row start, but it was still very solid from him. Nikolai Bogatyev, one of his best results in this series. A great upturn in form from him recently in 5th place. Gary Croft was in 6th place after starting in 8th place. Nice one for him. Ashley Woodward had a spin in the closing stages. Perhaps could have finished 1 place higher, but can't be too frustrated with that one in 7th. Clyde Whiting, nice result for him in 8th, with Philip Antonio, the last driver, on the lead lap in 9th. And then Nicole Foggy, 10th position, a rare mistake from him, an avoidable mistake as well. Finishes 3 laps down, will still claim plenty of points for that position, but will shorten his championship lead just a little bit. The other retirees were Victor Tanaka, Katie Rose-Trento, Andrew Hoffman, and Michael Frost. So we always have driver interviews, of course, in this series. And, thankfully, we've got our race 2 winner, Johnny Brandon. And, Johnny, you've won plenty of race, of course, in this series, and I imagine in many other series as well. But the amount of pressure that Tony put under you there, that must have been one of the toughest.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I think I'm about a stone lighter. I'm just drinking some water.
Certainly do not blame you whatsoever. In terms of your defense, was it getting easier as the races, as the laps went on? You just seemed to be able to find a groove. You just knew by the end of the race exactly where to position your car, and Tony never really got alongside apart from that one bit of contact you two had.
Yeah, I think he had a big lunge down the outside, didn't he? And I don't know whether he locked up the brakes and went a bit sideways or what, but I was just going in a straight line for me. I think he just locked up because he was so late on the brakes and overshot it a little bit. But when I saw it, it's been absolutely rapid around here. It was obvious our setup weren't working because we were off the pace to begin with, both of us, Foggy and myself, and then the car just got worse and worse in race 1. So when I got into the lead of race 2, and I saw Tony pit, I just decided to pit straight away in short fuel. So I spent the rest of the race trying to defend from Tony and then trying to save fuel at the same time. So I had to save about a lap's worth of fuel over that last stint. So hence the pace was so slow. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. I've apologised to Tony because he must be super frustrated with that one, but I'm quite chuffed with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw a lot of just juggling over the crest today. Of course, your teammate went and crashed out over the crest. Tony nearly crashed about 10 times, seemingly, and yourself as well was quite sideways, particularly through that kind of penultimate corner. How difficult is it in these V8 cars? There's surely no more difficult car in that situation.
Yeah, well, it's the V8, isn't it? You know, you think you're coming out the corner, and in any other car, you just nice and smoothly put the full throttle down. You can't do that in this. You sort of go full throttle, and then there's a little crest. If you stay full throttle, you're gone. So you're just trying to hold a percentage of how far you're prepared to spin the wheels and try and gain a bit of acceleration. But obviously, as you know, as the tyres start wearing, that point changes and the car and the fuel weight. So yeah, you're constantly trying to feel it and not heat the tyres up too much, and yeah, not getting too much of a mess. But with somebody like Tony Kloosterman behind you, breathing down your neck, that was much harder than normal today.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, one more round of the championship to go. Of course, your teammates crash helped you a little bit, but by my calculations, at least, you're still
No,
going to be about 250 points behind, which is quite
yeah,
a large gap to make up. But what were your
yeah.
aims for that one? Just claim a fifth race victory of the season, I guess.
Just have fun, enjoy it like we always do. You know, it's good in here. Race one, there was a little bit of net code contact that sort of upset me race a little bit, but apart from the net, which is just part and parcel of it, you know, wasn't anybody's fault. It's just a bit of net code. The last race, just enjoy it. Foggy deserves the championship, and he's been rapid all season. All right, I've had broken pedals and missed rounds and computer issues and all sorts of things. Drove like a bit of an idiot, got involved in things I shouldn't have done. Either way, I don't think I'd have beaten Foggy this year. He's been absolutely rapid. So hopefully he wins it. He's had a little bit of a shocker tonight, which he's not over the moon about. But he'll get over it pretty quickly as he does. But he deserves the championship. There's no question of that in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubts about that. He's been absolutely superb this season. And before we let you go, Johnny, anyone you'd like to thank?
Just the usual people, really. You guys for the broadcast. It's nice to actually speak to you for once, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes a change. Normally, you give me to Marco. But yeah, nice to speak to you guys. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast. Always good, I'm sure. I'll have a little look at that later and try not to be too embarrassed at my blocking of Tony. Everybody in XVR, you know, that helps out with the car setup and the practice sessions. All a nice bunch of guys, and everybody that runs a league. And hopefully, I can get a sponsor for next season that we're looking for. So if there's anybody out there listening that fancies getting involved or sponsoring a couple of rounds or one round or all the rounds, get in touch because they need a sponsor for next season. So it'd be great.
Absolutely, would be very much appreciated. Thank you, Johnny, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, guys. Look forward to it. Good night.
Okie dokie, we've also got our race one winner as well, Tony Kloosterman, up for an interview. And Marco, are you happy to take this one?
Of course. Tony Kloosterman, of course, should be in the booth with us. Hello, Tony.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
So, what a day, eh? Win in race one, and then race two. You tried everything to get that race win, but it wasn't possible in the end. But that was I think it's going to go down as one of the classic battles in this championship history.
It was a good battle, and I think it was possible to get back by Johnny if I'd used my bumper, but it's no fun that way. So we had a great battle. Johnny did excellent job in making his car as wide as possible. I've been in that position in the past, and know how much hard work that is. So, good on him. He deserved the win.
So next time around we will be still in the UK. We are going for a triple header at Snetterton 200. Quite a change of scenario compared to this track here, because compared to here where you have all the elevation changes, etc., Snetterton is going to be a very flat racetrack. What do you think about Snetterton in the 200 layout, especially?
I'd rather we didn't go there. I'm not very fond of that track at all. Perhaps we could come back here again.
Yeah, I mean, there is a very short. I think the island layout or the Foster layout are very short and would be fantastic stages for a super sprint event. Why not?
It certainly would be, yes.
I mean, that was once again fantastic racing from you, from Johnny. That race one win, of course. The high point overnight, you go home with P1 and P2. Before we let you go, Tony, anyone you'd like to thank?
I have to thank Chris Jackson. He wasn't here this weekend, but he did some phenomenal work on our setup, and he convinced me to go in a direction that I was very reluctant to go in, and it proved to have pace. So we may have found something this round. Our team, everybody puts in a lot of effort. KSW Painting for sponsoring our league, and you guys for the great job that you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony, and catch you in a couple of weeks.
Take care.
So that was Tony Kloosterman. Of course, and we have got one more interview and a driver that we don't usually have a chat with, and it's Victor Tanaka. Victor, well done out there. We'll deal with the not so good parts of the evening first. Just those few laps in that second race, everything just seemed to go a little bit wrong for you.
Yeah, I pretty much chose, the wrong lane there in lap one. I was at the slow lane, and then Foggy got the fast lane. So I already started a little bit frustrated there. And then just trying too hard been a bit of a mistake. Then Tony got by me, and then Foggy had a mistake, I believe, lap two. He got loose, and then I got way too optimistic there going up the hill. Tried to go for a hero move, and then I saw my teammate kind of checking up on the triple right-hander there, and that put me all sorts of sideways, and I pushed Nicole off the track. It was it was very ugly indeed.
But after, well, before that, in race one, your battle with Johnny was absolutely superb and very gracious of you there, where you made a small amount of contact to let him past. It was to let him back past. It was very good to see.
Exactly, it's very hard to pass on this track. I was just talking to Johnny about it, and like unless you're half of a second quicker a lap, it's very hard to make a move happen, and especially at our level. Like we know exactly where to place the car to make it very hard for the other car to pass. So Johnny was making a great job of keeping me behind, and I'm pretty sure I would have done the same thing if I was ahead, and I'm pretty sure he would have done the same thing if he was behind. So I'll just keeping our bumpers as close as possible, because that's the only way that you can make something happen, is if there's that half a mistake, right, and you can get the overlap going. Then you might have a chance of getting a pass done. But yeah, I got way too optimistic on that one, and yeah, there was a little bit of a touch. I don't like to be unfair, so that's why I let him pass. But it sounds like we also had a little bit of a contact when I actually got past him. But on my screen, I didn't get any contact incident, so I thought that he just got loose, and then I got the opportunity, to go by. He felt like there was a contact, but either way, I think it was fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been great to see you a little bit more active this season. Do you imagine? Well, firstly, are you going to be around in 2 weeks' time for Snetterton? And do you think you're going to be able to do some, or are you going to be able to do the full season next season as well?
I'll definitely try. It's kind of sad that participation has been going down, and I can't say much because I haven't been, around too much. I just was focusing in some endurance racing in iRacing in general, so it's been tough with schedule. But I'm definitely gonna try, to be around more. And we're also trying a few things out in the league, to mix things up. We're gonna have a sprint series going in parallel, So let's see. I'll try to be around because it is a lot of fun. It's a very competitive group, and there's a very good pack up front. That's always been it's mixed around, right? So like you never know who's gonna end up ahead out of me, Tony, Chris, Nicole, and Johnny Brennan. So it's a very good mix, and it's always fun to race with these guys.
Absolutely. We certainly hope to see a lot more of you, Victor. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
It's our team. It's been tough on the last few weeks. A few people of our team had a few losses, so yeah, it's been tough. But everybody keeps their head up and everything. Unfortunately, Chris couldn't be with us today. Also, Greg. But it's a very good environment, to be around, and yeah, I want to thank everybody from Never Quit Racing.
Well, thank you very much, Victor, and we'll see. Well, hopefully we'll see you very soon on Apex Racing TV.
Hopefully, we will. Thank you for the broadcast, guys.
So that was Victor Tanaka, and that pretty much rounds off our interviews for the evening. And Marco, we've said it a lot this season, haven't we? Where we say, "Oh, this round was so good." I swear now we've had about 6 consecutive rounds where we've said the same thing. But despite maybe a slightly smaller grid than we had at the start of the season, these races just carry on delivering, and they're absolutely enthralling for us.
Exactly, and I'm a bit sad that we are only one round away from the end of the season, but usually we get a special enduro in the summer, and then back for the 7th season, which should start, I think, around August, if I'm not mistaken, judging by the calendar that we have followed in the past. Of course, everyone that is watching, that is listening, if you want to sponsor this championship, please do, because it is absolutely a great championship, and we would love to have it back for next season as well. And Sam, of course, next week, which is starting in a few hours, well, not a few hours, on Monday, lots of stuff to follow, starting from Monday night with the MX5 Monday Cup from Belle Isle at 19:15 GMT, and then later at quarter past midnight GMT, Rikmotec from Snetterton. Then we are going to have on Tuesday at 10:45 GMT in the morning IMSA SOF race from Montreal, the Oceanic Strength of Field. And then later in the night at 18 GMT, the VRSGT Sprint Series SOF race from Donington. And of course on the iRacing Esports Network at 19:15 GMT. We're going to have the MX5 Pro Series also from Belle Isle. That will be, of course, produced by Apex Racing TV on the iRacing Esports Network. On Wednesday, the Sim Racers World live from Imola at 19 GMT, the 5th round of the season, 1-hour race. What am I missing? I think, yeah, on Tuesday, of course, BSRTC also at 19:15 GMT, also from Belle Isle. And then on Saturday, we will be back at 12 GMT from Mount Panorama, and of course the Sim Racer Strategy GTE series for the 8th round of the season out of 10, and then back on Monday with the MX5s rounding up the season from Montreal. So always a lot to look forward to, and I would say luckily, because it's fantastic, but also unluckily, I have to look forward to a 5:30 a.m. wake-up call tomorrow. So it's I hate to wrap up this broadcast, but I think we are out of things to say.
I think so, yes. And well, good luck for that one, Marco. I don't envy you one bit there, but yeah, have fun on your marshalling.
Well, at least I'm
And
getting paid, so I can, I
yeah,
can, I can, I can be happy with that.
yes. Anyway, yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. And yeah, like Marcus said, we'll be back very soon on Apex Racing TV. But from now, from me and from Marco as well, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next time.